All right, good morning, GOMA, Global Online Ministry Alliance. I'm really sorry for the delay. Lots going on here. We had some winter weather, and let's see. Okay, hey Kyle, are you there? All right, give me one. All right, I'm going to add you to the feed because we're bringing you in now. Here we go. Okay, let's see if we're live on GOMA. How you doing, buddy?
I'm doing good. How about you?
Can you hear me just fine?
Perfectly.
Good. Okay, GOMA, Global Online Ministry Alliance. Hang on, sorry. I'm watching it over on the screen now to make sure it's all working. So John Crotty's first one in the house. All right, this is good. Sorry, Kyle, we have a snowstorm today, and when that happens in Canada, traffic is just slow. We don't stop going; we just go slower.
Yeah, sounds like New Jersey.
I was just gonna say, you guys got the wicked snow too there.
Yeah. Sounds like New Jersey.
I used to live in Fort Erie, which is in the Canadian side of the Buffalo border, and we either just get the storm or we just miss all the storms. Just the way the lake is. It was, like serious stuff too.
Yeah, but you get it right. It's still the same.
That's true. Yes.
Yeah.
Well, all right. Well, good morning, everyone. Please say hello to Kyle Butler. He shouldn't need an introduction as he's one of the founders of this GOMA group. So that's awesome. I'm the guest. That's still funny. So Kyle, tell me first, let's talk about GOMA for a second. What is it? What you guys put together? What's your hope for the future? How's that?
Well, Lynn Bennett called me one day and said, "Hey, bro, I've been thinking, is there a way we can create an environment where 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, we can have a place where people can come and get an encouraging word, a message about love, God's grace, and just a boost, something that was going to be anti-religious, anti-works, anti-performance." And so we just started thinking about some stuff, and we pulled Catherine Toon in, and the three of us kind of got together and kind of brainstormed this idea of GOMA. Yeah, it's Trinity type of thing. Yeah. And then there it is. And so far we've had some really good success with it. We've had wonderful contributors like yourself, and we just wanted to keep the message about love and grace. And so far it's been really good.
I've noticed something when I first came on. Initially it was just about live video, not allowed to post memes. I'm the one who learned that lesson. Oops. It's not.
Oops.
Please pray for my Aunt Betty's cousin's dog who has puppies. It's about the focus on teaching and encouraging. So tell us what the new plan is, because I don't think it's just about live now, although that's still cool when you can.
We've opened it up a little bit where you can take now videos that you have and you can share them to the page. You can jump in and out when you want. Say you have your morning at 8 a.m.
Sorry, you said jump in and out. I'm gonna drive you nuts.
I know. You can come on and off as you have time and space. So you have your normal slot. If you get inspired, someone gets inspired, at 12 a.m. and they want to jump on and say, "Hey, I just got inspired. I want to share this encouraging message real fast." They can. So as long as it's not a spot someone else is using. So that's kind of where it is right now. We're excited to see how this will continue to help GOMA grow.
Mm-hmm. I like that. I like the variety. I know there was a bunch of other guys on, teachers that aren't regularly teaching now. I noticed the GOMA page on Facebook says there's a couple people in the title of "to be determined" or "as able," right? Which is really nice because it frees up things. And I think some of the guys, or let me rephrase that, some of the individuals, because it's not a male network. This is not about gender. We need good teachers and speakers of both genders. Just do. In fact, we need a lot more women teaching on here. We really do.
I agree.
I'm
Totally
looking
agree.
forward to that. But I'm excited that some of them can come back on at their pace and their time.
Yeah.
So I'd recommend those. If you know somebody out there, message Kyle, a private message, or Lynn or Catherine if you have suggestions, because they need to approve who's going to be on, because it's not just a free for all, which is super dangerous. So yeah, I think this is a fantastic platform. It's
It
not
is.
it's not a ministry name. It's not like you have all these different ministries that are all around the world. It's not raising the flag of just one. This is like this. First time I've seen this. A multi-hearted individuals from their own hearts. I don't know what to call that, but this is unique. It really is.
Yeah. Yeah. It's GOMA.
Let's go, man.
Yeah.
Let's go, man. Oh, sorry. I didn't finish my coffee. Oh man.
Hey, I'm still on mine too. So, I'm with you.
Give me a quick update on your past. I know that in traditional churches we say, "Hey, tell me your testimony," and so it's all about your crap, and then you quickly tag on, and then Jesus saved me.
Yeah.
But I think history does help bring some context, especially to the listeners. They're looking for a connection, and sometimes stories connect and make you believable. Otherwise, your message may not be believable. So would you be willing to give me a quick update on your history, where you've come from? Because I'm interested too, because I think even when I told Catherine this when we had her on, you guys may have had your testimony clip when you started GOMA, but that's so far down the page, nobody's going to find it. So let's reintroduce our founders. I'm hoping if Lynn's willing to come on with me sometime, I would love that too. But give me a quick update, if you could.
Okay, and a real quick version. I grew up in church. My mom, she got saved, so to speak, when I was very young, and had this radical transformation of thought and behavior, and gathered up her children, and from every Sunday on, and Wednesday and Friday, Saturday, we were in church. In church.
Oh, it was open. You were there.
And we were there, and not just the hour and a half church. We was in church. Sundays were all day. Yes.
How long were the services in the church you grew up in? I'm curious.
Well, on the Sunday morning service could easily be 4 or 5 hours. Yeah.
You were one of them?
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh.
And Sunday night could also easily be 4 or 5 hours.
Oh.
And it's pretty amazing because, we'd have these, we didn't call them altar calls then, we called them prayer lines. People would line up one by one, and the pastor would pray for them one by one.
Wow.
Long, lengthy prayers, like laying hands and the whole nine. Not just a touch and move on, but speaking into their life, all that whole thing. And as a kid, I used to wonder, why do the same people who were here this morning, why are they back in the line tonight? I wondered about that as a little kid. Like, why are you just here? Like, what happened? I mean, you only went home to eat and you came right back. What happened? Kind of a thing.
Because it's 5 hours long, they needed a snack break. Came back in case I missed something. I'm getting back in line.
Yeah, exactly.
Hey, I had a Pentecostal pastor tell me that one lady or one guy kept coming up to the front during those times at their church. They were only an hour and a half, 2 hours, and he kept saying, "Fill me, Jesus, fill me," every week. And finally, one lady got fed up, and she yelled from back, "Don't do it, Lord! He leaks."
So it appears we leak. So I grew up in a church environment. It was super religious. It was Pentecostal holiness. So whenever you have the word Pentecostal and you add the word holiness to it, you're really in for you're in for a bunch of rules and regulations and a bunch of don't do's. And the only thing I remember growing up thinking as well, the only thing God is happy with is church, because everything else you can't do.
Wow.
You can't go to movies. You can't go outside. You can't play with your friends. You can't go you can't watch TV. You can't wear pants. You can't. I mean, everything was a no.
You better wear
And the
pants.
only time it seemed like God was happy was when you were in church. So I grew up in that environment. I didn't understand it. I didn't like it. It was too restrictive, too closed in, and then because I didn't know any better, and I was feared into this whole ministry thing. I remember hearing all of my life, look, if you don't do what God wants you to do, He'll make you do it. He'll force you to do it. So at 19, being too afraid to try life, straddling the fence, as they used to call it. So, you're partly committed, you're partly in the world, kind of a thing. So at 19, I decided, you know what, God, I can't win. I can't beat you. So I'm just going to go ahead and give it my all. And shortly after that, I was being ordained for the first time. 2 years after that, I was being ordained again. And then 2 years after that, by the age of
First one in
26,
tank, right?
yeah, I was moving on down the line. And by 26, I was, installed as a pastor of the church I grew up in. And that started a journey of bewilderment, if I'm honest, because I really had no idea what I was doing. I was
But you
really
couldn't tell
going through the
me.
motions. Yeah, I couldn't tell anyone because, I had taken
Came
over
out of
for,
your week.
my predecessor. He was the founder. He had been there all these years. He was revered. He was, we deemed him powerful and a mighty man of God. And for me to now step in line, I tried to do what Saul wanted David to do. I
Wow.
tried to put on Saul's armor. And I know David rejected it, but I said, well, no, I need it. Give me that armor because, I mean, I can't be myself because they're so used to this guy.
You know what? Hang on
And
there for a second. How much of that analogy is in the church right now?
yeah, yeah,
Like, I never heard it like that. That's brilliant.
yeah, yeah. I remember thinking, I can't be me because they're so used to him. I mean, we're talking 30 something years here. I not knowingly, but like, just kind of subconsciously, I mimicked his personality. I mimicked his style. He preached with his eyes closed. I preached with my eyes closed for the first few years, literally closed, head down, closed the whole time. Wouldn't open my eyes except to read, and I closed my eyes again and just start preaching. You
Wow.
know, yeah, yeah.
You couldn't sing the song "I See the Light" anymore because your eyes
No,
are.
no, no, totally closed. And a dear friend of mine who had come from California, who had grown up in the church with us, and she had since moved to California with her mom. She came one Wednesday night. Well, she was in town, and one Wednesday night she came to our service, and I was preaching. I was so proud because I'm preaching in front of them, and classic eye closed the whole time. And she says after the service, we go out to eat. She goes, Kyle, why do you close your eyes the whole time? I don't know. You know? I'm just
Wow.
it's what I do. I mean, that's what I know. But it was that question that prompted me to say and ask myself, who am I? And I started taking a look at me, and I saw all of him.
Hmm.
And it was in that moment I began to try to scale away from him and find myself, and that took some time.
Do you think there's still value if for somebody listening and being mentored by someone else right now? Do you think there's still value in having some of that mentorship where you're going to mimic your mentor? There's got to
Yeah,
be room for that on the front end to
sure.
get going, right? And
Yeah,
that's very much like
absolutely.
a child, young man, or young adult stage of growing. There's room for some mimicking and following some direction that's clear until it becomes yours.
Yeah, yeah.
Right?
I think the mimicking that we notice in ministry and church, when we're coming kind of, whether we're with someone in ministry or we're kind of following behind them, some of this stuff is just natural because even when I started pastoring, as I started to change and develop and find my own way, I saw the ministers who were on staff with me, they started also somewhat mimicking the style that I was presenting. You know, the pastor before me, he lay hands on people and labor with people for 5 or 6 minutes while he prayed with them. I developed into a hey, I would just touch you like this and kind of gently grab your cheeks and just speak a short word over you and send you on your way. And then I would notice other ministers were doing the same thing, had picked up that same kind of pattern. So I think there, in ministry, and especially when there's a team, there probably will always be some of that mimicking. And I do think that in the beginning, because you're young and you don't know anything, perhaps, or you're new or you're fresh, you probably could pick up some of these things because they're comfortable to the people that you're with. But the safety here, the caution here is, don't lose yourself in the mimic.
Because there's some little twitches and things that some solid TV guys, and I hear them go, Jesus, they always do that.
Yeah.
Like all that, whatever they do, these mimics.
That's when you're preaching.
Not but these tag-ons to try and purport authority because they think they've trained themselves to speak a certain way because people will listen to that as authority, whether it's true or not.
Yeah.
Right? And unfortunately, I think we as believers need to not be so reliant on pastors,
right.
And hold them up to such a high esteem. I do believe they need to be respected for their roles, but it's not the authority role we've been told.
Yeah.
I'm a normal person, and I'm a pastor, and I don't let people in public call me Pastor Mike. Even people in my church, like, don't just call me Mike. Don't do that. Don't call me name. And I can understand when they're introducing me to somebody, whatever. Some people will disagree with me. Some people say, no, you need to carry the title and show people. I'm thinking, no, that's not me. I just spent years trying to maintain a title.
Yeah.
It's exhausting because then you're looking over your shoulder the whole time. You gotta watch what you say, watch how you drive. I do not put Jesus loves you bumper stickers on my car. Not a chance, because honk if you love Jesus. Ain't honking because you love Jesus. They're honking because you're a driver. So it's just funny. Yeah, I think the role and title has been really messed up, and it's messed up the Christian faith.
I totally agree. When I started to find myself, I remember early on, I was always bothered by the title, Pastor Kyle, and as I started to get comfortable in myself, and some years later, this had to be around 2000 or so, we were getting a younger group of people, and this younger group of people that were coming in, they would call me PK for, Pastor Kyle. And
not pastor's kid.
So they call me PK. And then some people who I'd grown up with, they would just call me bro or Kyle. They would just say that. And I remember one day, and I was comfortable with that. I was more comfortable with Kyle or bro or PK. I was very comfortable with that. And then a few years after that, I'd gotten so comfortable in not looking like the traditional pastor. People would come visit our church, and they would, a new person, and they would say, they'd be with their friend or whoever invited them, and they'd say, "Where's your pastor?" Because I would never sit in the pulpit, and, I would never sit up there. I would never sit in front of everyone like, I'm the.
This is my throne.
Yeah, this is my throne room. Everybody look at me, and I'd, wouldn't do all that. I wanted to be with the people in the congregation, kind of feeling the energy, being one with them, worshiping and doing the whole experience with them in the worship. And people would ask, "Where's your pastor?" And they'd point to this guy who was looking just like everyone else, in jeans and T-shirts, jumping around, doing whatever, back working the music system or carrying some of the stuff to wherever it needs to go or doing whatever. And they point to me and they would say, "Well, that's your pastor?" Like, "Oh my God, like that's your pastor." And then I'd get up and teach, and people would be shocked at how I wasn't pastoring.
I wish that was the image more and more, because I don't want to be known as my title.
Right.
Although part of my background says, yes, you do. You want that recognition. And so that's a flesh. That's ego. But I'd rather be known as friend. Like I meet families when I do funerals, and immediately I say, when I meet them for the first time, I shake their hand and I say, "Hey, I'm Mike, the minister guy." Well, immediately that sounds funny, and it went down the wall. Now, some people say that's disrespectful, but I'm saying, hang on, my boss Jesus says it's okay, so back off.
Yeah.
Don't be putting no rules on me. And I think I'm 51 now. I'm learning still to hear the voice of Christ, and I've done it the old way, and it's not real.
Yeah.
So
it's not.
More, I want greater transparency. Paul, okay, here's another good example. Paul Young. I got Paul Young coming here in January, and he is very much like that. Don't give me a title. I'm just Paul. Give you a hug. He's like a real person. I thought that is the model. If you want to mimic somebody, mimic Paul. Not the Paul, but Paul Young. For the heart and the warmth of it. And now I'm going to encourage you, because you've encouraged me right from the start when I first met you. But you've had that transparency there, that the non-elitist, I'm the teacher, you're the student mentality. And I valued that from when I first met you. You have the love of Christ coming out of you, and that you can't mimic that with a title. So if Jesus isn't coming out of you with authenticity, then your other method ain't working. I'd say surrender it and learn to find out who you are as a person. And I think you've modeled that for us, Kyle. And I know it's gotten you in trouble, but so what?
Yeah.
In trouble with who? Religious people. So what? I'm not trying to impress them.
I remember back when we had MySpace, when MySpace was the social network to have. And I jumped on there and created a little profile, whatever. And someone that I'd known, they were in the message box, Pastor Kyle, Pastor Kyle, Pastor Kyle, Pastor Kyle. And I said, you don't have to call him Pastor Kyle. Kyle works is fine. And they were saying, there's no way I can call you Kyle. That's disrespectful. I got to honor your position. I got to honor your title. And I said, guess what? God has never called me Pastor Kyle. Ever.
That's awesome. I got a buddy here from Brazil. His name's David. He keeps calling us, Pastor Mike, and I keep trying to teach him to not. And now it's becoming fun. But he comes from Brazilian background. Okay, they elevate pastors in Mexico. They elevate the title. Yeah. I believe in many other continents. There's certain cultures that elevate it to, as soon as you have the title, now you're you can't be questioned. You have the role, therefore you are. And I don't know, that gets me going, and that is a setup for control. That is very unhealthy. Hey, Lionel, you're in here, buddy, and Simon Yap's in here. Yeah.
Hey guys, how you doing?
Yeah, that's so cool.
Absolutely.
This show turned into titles, but it's good, because I think we need to not be about the titles. I'd rather point to you or to Lynn or Catherine, to some of the other teachers that are on here, and say that person shares a message of hope and grace, nothing like the others. They're unique in their own skin. Simon Yap, I forget which country you're from, Simon. Just type it in the message there.
China, I believe.
What?
It's in China. I think he's in China, if I'm not mistaken.
I'll correct it, but I think he's in the Philippines. But we're going to see. Right. He's laughing at you.
Okay. I think, I don't know.
He has this really cool Pope Simon. That's funny. But Simon has a unique lens. He brings, because his attention and interest is in certain fields, right? Certain topics. Yeah. You have certain topics. I got mine. We got the ones that God has inspired us with. It's that collection of people we need all together. Because
that's exactly right. That's exactly right. I remember when I first found Simon on Malaysia. Okay. I remember when I first met Simon online, and I was being directed to some of his work online, and I was so fascinated, because I was like, whoa, this guy has an Eastern understanding of Christianity.
That's rare.
And he's brought such valuable input to our Western way of thinking. And I love how he breaks things down and says, guys, listen, it doesn't mean that. I mean, you got to know what we're talking about here. I'm in the East. This is where the stuff originated from. I mean, I really love that about it. So you're right. We need.
Trying to outrank you?
Huh?
Trying to outrank you?
Yeah. So, we need these different perspectives, and I'm here now, Mike. I'm seriously considering that. I think we've taken what Paul wrote there in Ephesians chapter 4, the fivefold. I think we've taken it and blown it way out of proportion. We've magnified it way bigger than it was ever.
What is that verse? Because not everybody knows what it is without Googling it.
Which says, I've given some apostles, prophets, evangelists, pastors, and teachers for the edifying of the body.
Can I pick my favorite one and try to be that?
Yeah. Isn't it funny how, no one really wants to be the teacher, apostle, I'm the evangelist, and no one wants to be the teacher. But there's something down there after that, how we just like to take little bits and pieces. But Paul said this, he says, until we come together, till we grow in the knowledge of Christ, who we are, who he is.
Yes.
And I thought, well, wait a minute. We've been doing this all wrong. Yeah. We've been doing this all wrong. We're just supposed to help people come to a place of understanding about who they are and what's inside of them. And that's it.
And are we not in our roles, if you want to call it a role, which, by the way, everyone's a minister.
Yeah.
Everyone is. My role as a pastor, so to speak, from as I understand it best, is to equip the saints to do the work.
Yeah.
It's about equipping. In fact, it's not even about telling them what to do as much as it is, at least for me right now, my focus here in Ontario is to teach people how to listen to the voice of the Holy Spirit. They listen to spirit, not from person on stage. Right. If it happens to be the same thing, that's great, but you always got to check spirit. Father, is this from you?
Yeah, absolutely.
People are deaf.
Absolutely.
They don't know what the Holy Spirit sounds like.
Yeah.
I don't know. Simon Yap writes Kung Fu Gospel. I love it. Bruce Lee. Oh, man. You know what? I'd like to get back onto this topic some other time. It doesn't have to be at 8 a.m. Sure. I'd like to continue this one with you sometime because I think people need to hear freedom from the title ministry. Because too many people are calling and asking for titles. I get emails from other countries all the time. If you want to join you, we want to join you. Well, I don't have time or bandwidth to bring other people on. Sorry. I don't know. I think they need to wake up and realize they don't need to join someone else. They need to be present where they are now.
Yeah.
Love the people around you. If you can't do that, you're not going to be able to love them on the internet and try and get a platform.
Right. Absolutely.
All right. What do you want to say to everybody this morning as a send off and a good morning on Grounds and Grace here? What would your encouragement be for the rest of the day if you had one? You're on the spot.
Thank you. Well, thank you. I would say to everyone, the message that I like to share is very simple: is you where you are, you where you've been, and you where you're going. You are loved unconditionally by Father. That's never going to change. Your path may change, your decisions may change, all of the stuff around you may change, but there's always will be that one constant, consistent, never changing thing, and that's Father's love for you. And if you can focus on that, if we can focus on that alone, everything else starts to become so minimal in the scope of what this all really is about. Because at the end of every single day, at the end of every single everything, there's going to be one thing that remains, and that's love. And that's love between Father and you. And that's really what this is all about.
I think there's a secular musician who sang about this. Something like, nothing's going to change my love for you. Nothing's... Oh, sorry.
I know that song.
I know you do. You're better. You're in the same age bracket-ish as I am.
Yeah. I know that song.
That's too funny. All right. Okay. Hey, we're going to wrap this up. And I'm looking forward to doing this a whole lot more. I'm going to do Grounds and Grace at 8 o'clock often, but I'd like to maybe do an extra slot here and there like this in time zones where people don't have to get up as early. And that way we can share. I want to hear from more people. This isn't about single teachers. This is about the community growing and hearing each other's stories. If we don't do this more often, we're not going to hear other people's stories. So, Kyle, I hope
listen. I drink coffee all day long, so it's always grounds of grace for me.
I only do 2 cups a day. That's it. And it's
Yeah.
better be good. If I'm gonna input 2 cups of coffee, I'm gonna make it the best coffee I can.
Yeah.
All right.
Listen, I have an anointing for making coffee, by the way. I'm anointed. Okay.
I have a gift of caffeine, so there you go. You can use that one. Oh man! Well, thank you for all those who've joined in here this morning. Karina Nicole, it says it's 12 a.m. right now. I messaged you. What country are you in? Because that's a different time zone altogether.
I think she's in Australia.
Oh, that would make sense.
Yeah.
And then Amber, hello, good morning. Simon, of course, we bugged. Lionel Sneed, good dude. Yeah, super awesome that you're here. Who else here? Mike Craig. Yes, Mike Craig's a new guy that has started watching. He's part of this deconstruction study with Keith Giles. We're in the same group.
Oh, okay. Yeah,
It's
yeah,
a
yeah,
really good study. I'm loving it.
Yeah.
In fact, I'm going to have the privilege of teaching a conference with Keith and Richard something. I forget his name.
Murray.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We're coming to Windsor, Ontario, which is like a 3-hour drive from my house. It's on the Detroit border, and we're going to teach a conference together there. We don't know what we're going to do yet, but it's going to be good.
Yeah, I sure will.
John Crotty already said hi too. Kitsy is here for sure. She's awesome. She's Paul Gray's wife.
Oh, cool.
Oh yeah, he's awesome too. I think you've met him.
Yeah, oh, absolutely.
Corey from Moncton, New Brunswick, Canada. We're getting your snow today, buddy. Ooh. All right. Well, that's it. Think you for taking time this morning, Kyle. And
thanks for having me, man.
We'll do this again. Love you, man. And
love you too.
I respect you, honor you, and I think you're just a great guy. All right.
Likewise.
That's it. I'm cutting this off. You guys have a fantastic day. I'm going to keep talking to Kyle here for just a few minutes after we stop streaming. Have a great day, everyone. Bye-bye.